I am so excited to introduce my very, very dear friend, Jessica Uphoff. Jessica is a trailblazer in our industry, and she runs the Uphoff team. She started out all alone. It was just her doing all of these loans. And now she has grown in the state of Colorado. She is in the top 3 female LOs. Of all originators in the state of Colorado, isn't that awesome? It blows my mind. Out of all originators in Colorado, she's in the top 10, and she's within the top 300 in the nation. The girl who started alone, sometimes working out of her closet because it was the only quiet place, now can say that about herself. And it is not easy. Like, behind the scenes, none of it is easy. And she has made mistakes. And on more than one occasion throughout her journey, she's had to learn the hard way. But all of those mistakes are really a blessing. It's allowed her to learn, and it's allowed her to make the mistakes so that other people on our team don't have to. In addition to being the number 3 female LO in the state of Colorado, she also oversees a team of 22 people because, contrary to popular belief, like Justin Acker asked me one time, is she a robot? She is not a robot. We do have a team of 22 people who support her. And because she's made those mistakes, she's been able to mold them and really create this machine. And the machine's output is contracts. You guys, we are really, really good at getting people under contract. Really good. We are a purchase lender. Not to say that we don't do refinances, we certainly do them, but we don't necessarily seek them out. Our jam is purchase business, and we're really good at it. So if you aren't using us, and if you're struggling to get people under contract, please talk to our team. So without further ado, here's the lady who started it all, Jessica Uphoff.
How cool is this? I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I really got used to this prior to the pandemic, and it just feels so good to be back together. Is this like your first in-person event? I know, it is for me. I know you guys are showing clients and going on listing appointments and having lots of interaction. Lenders, we sit behind computers, and I do a lot of Zoom. I meet with all my clients over Zoom. I meet with my partners over Zoom. So it's really very nice to give big hugs to a lot of my friends and partners in the room. Thank you for coming today, guys. I want to just take a moment to say I appreciate you guys being here. The purpose of today is to learn from our peers about grabbing just nuggets here and there about how we can work and smarter, not harder. The market conditions we're in right now are unique, and we need to evolve, basically. And that's what today is about, is evolving with the market. And the people that are here today are going to share with us little tidbits about what they do, and they're having massive success right now in this market. And I have the pleasure of calling a lot of them friends, so I'm super excited to listen to all the wisdom that they're going to bring for us. I let Elise brag on me. I don't want today to be all about the Uphoff team, so you don't have to worry about having like an hour-long, here's where rates are. If you're interested, they're not good. They're not good, I'm sorry. But I do want to just kind of expand on a couple things that Elise said. So we are a purchase lender. Our team closed about 500 purchase loans last year, which, as you can imagine, most lenders were highly focused on refinance volume because the low-hanging fruit is what's easy. I think a lot of lenders feel like working with 2 realtors and a title company and all the things that go with a purchase, it's harder. You've got deadlines, you've got to work fast. The things that we go through to do a purchase are very different in the lending community than doing a refinance. And so our team made the decision at the beginning of the refinance boom, we are going to not get distracted by the low-hanging fruit. We are going to focus on realtors because they need us right now. We are going to get really good at purchase business, and we are going to evolve to meet the needs that realtors have in the market. I saw a lot of problems you guys were having. Appraisal issues, we have to close this fast. We need this, different challenges that my realtor partners were having, and our team evolved. That's what happened. We evolved to solve your problems. And so with that, I got to learn how those, the evolution of our team was helping our partners. My partners were sharing with me what was working for them to get people under contract. And a lot of you in the room, I've strategized with you to win and beat out 20 offers on a property. And it's been really, really fun. And then I've been able to share that wisdom with other partners that aren't as seasoned and say, what if we did this? And what if we did that? And it's been such a pleasure to be a purchase lender this last couple of years. The market does not have to be hard. It does not have to be slow. We just have to evolve. We have to change. And I'm excited for the people to come out here today and share with us their wisdom. Before we bring out these incredible speakers, I just want to kind of go over some of the things that we came up with or we're doing to support our partners' problems. Okay, so we strategize how to help our clients win in a multiple offer situation. And I'm sure lenders are doing that, guys. We are really good at it. And it starts in our buyer consult. When our client's writing an offer, we build them a presentation. We help them understand the different things they can do with their financing to win in a multiple offer situation. We help sellers that need to move, but they can't find their perfect house, get pre-approved with a bridge loan so they can buy their next house non-contingent. I would say out of everything we do, that transitional buyer is our bread and butter. We are so good. We can close in 10 days with a bridge loan for a seller that needs to move. Large appraisal gaps for a nominal fee. We solve to appraisal gaps in a lot of different ways. I have some agents come up to me and is this how you do it? And I'm like, where's Brooke? One of my partners, she's like, I still don't get it. I'm like, you don't need to, Brooke. It's okay. I'll tell you how much appraisal gap you have to work with. But large appraisal gaps, we solve to that. You do not have to pay the difference in cash. So if any of you are telling your clients, hey, if you're under contract at $650 and it appraises at $600, you have to pay the difference in cash, stop saying that, because that is not true. Lock and shop for our clients out there right now, desperate. We're starting to get a little bit more inventory, but the rates are coming up and they're scared. Lock and shop is a program that can secure your client's interest rate before they have a property. We have 6 and 12-month rate locks for clients buying new construction. And as one of the preferred lenders of several local home builders, we're very good at new construction. And one thing that we offer to our partners that I think is a great thing to have in your back pocket is we will never try to talk your new construction client into going with us if the in-house lender is really a better deal. That's what we want to do for you as partners, is we don't want your client to feel pressured to work with us. We look at what the in-house lender is giving them and say, you should go with that deal. That's a great deal. And then we're very, very good at self-employed. If you hear clients say, I write off everything, I can't buy a house, we're like, you're perfect. I see Lori smiling at me because I've done a loan for her just like that. We're very, very good at self-employed, and I think those people, if they feel distraught that they can't buy a house, I would recommend a second opinion. We do offer weekend coverage, so we have an on-call team that I don't know if any of you follow us on social media, but if you don't, please do, because we will try to make you laugh. We will let you know who's on call on the weekend, and we do really make sure we wrap our arms around you and your clients while you guys are out in the market trying to win houses. Our weekend stats. So just to kind of show you guys the last several weeks, and I have to say, we have ridiculously good partners, and that's a lot of our success, okay? So we don't have, it's not us, it's the combination of having a really good partner and a really good lender. We'll start back on February 25th, we wrote 16 lender letters, 7 under contract. March 4th, 24 and 11, 20 and 12, 22 and 16, 17 and 16. Do you guys notice anything? Brett, why is that? Yeah. Yeah. So I would like to take all the credit. And I'm really good, yeah. But Mark, he's going to come up here and tell us about how the market's shifting, right? That's part of his spiel at the end. That's where we go. Yes, you can kind of see market trends, and we do post these stats on social media. But you also, we have a very high success rate, and it's how we do our process. It's from our buyer consult. It's for the presentation we do when clients are writing an offer. It's the varying niche programs that we have that help people win. So if you're interested in learning more about our team, as Elise mentioned, you have a survey on your table, and you can mark that you'd like more information on our team. If any one of our speakers today grabs you and there's something that you want to have further dialogue, every single one of them are generous with their time, and we'd be more than happy to chat with you after for a few minutes. I hope that they're all super busy high Ds, so I'm promising their time, and they're looking at me. But I do know from knowing all of them, they're all super generous and giving, and they want to share the wisdom and knowledge. I also, on the survey, you can say that you want more information about them as well. I want to thank our sponsors, Insure You Colorado. If you don't know Neil Shelton, where's Neil? Is he around here? Hi, Neil. Thank you for making today possible. We sure appreciate it. He and his team are amazing. First American Title, Megan Aller. Everyone knows Megan Aller. We're super excited to have her. She's going to be up here next in just a minute. Lori Claire with Credit Consulting. Lori helps our clients repair their credit so they can buy a house. She's also amazing. She's here as well. House to home inspections. I don't know. I haven't seen Farah today. Okay, so house to home inspections. Farah Crosby, amazing gal inspector. Any of you have a woman inspector? She's done several of my personal inspections. She's amazing. Michael Athens with Cutco. If you guys have not used Cutco for closing gifts or client gifts, they're amazing. Lamb Creative Solutions. Brian Lamb, he is the mastermind behind our social media stuff. He's here today in the back recording all of this, and he helps Elise do her TikToks. And then Legacy Insurance Partners is our other sponsor. So thank you to all of our sponsors. I want to quickly thank my team. I have a couple of my team members in the room with me. The team works tirelessly to support our partners and clients at a high level, and I could not do it without my amazing team. All right, so next up, I'm so excited. We're all anxious to hear the most latest stats. So Megan Aller has been in the business for 5 years. Is that right, Megan? Okay, so we got a typo there. I was like, I've known you for 10, so I don't know how that's possible. For 15 years, and is a top producing real estate analyst and title rep at First American. Welcome, Megan Aller. She's not going to shout? Yeah. Come on, just shout first.
Rather than screaming numbers at you, I figured I'd use a microphone because it seems to come across just a little bit more gently that way. You guys have all had a rough start to the year, so we could probably stand up and give each other a back rub and have back rub circles going around here, around the podium. So it's been a really rough start to the year for you guys, but it is actually a little bit less frantic than what we were a year ago. I went through and I crunched all of the numbers for you going through the end of March, so I was in a fury and a tizzy trying to get everything done for you guys today. I went through and put together your market dynamics report for you, and in the market dynamics report, what you'll find is that our active inventory came up by 1.7% month over month, and I want to change your idea about talking about active inventory, because the story out there has been that inventory is so low, and it isn't that inventory has been so low, it's that its inventory is moving so fast, I don't have time to capture it as an active listing count. Basically what I do is on the 4th of the month at 10 o'clock in the morning, I run my schedule like the military. It's the same time every month, the 4th of the month at 10 o'clock in the morning. I go in and I take an active snapshot count and say, how many active listings are there if I wanted to take a client out and show them every home that was on the market today. Based off of that data for detached single family, we had about 1,325 homes that were available for sale. Now that is up from where we were 1 year ago by 17.7%. So the good news is that we know that our buyer pool started out fast and furious that second weekend in January, while our seller pool is now coming to market earlier and earlier this year so that they're getting their homes to market sooner. I'm going to go over something called an total showable properties count with you in a little bit, but there's a lot more properties out there than what we're actually talking about and what the media is reporting on in our marketplace. What was interesting to see is that pending transaction count, while it went up 10.7% from February to March, it's down from 1 year ago by about 25% in both the attached and the detached markets. So the market's moving really fast, but there are fewer transactions that are to be had out there in the market this year. Months supply of inventory is one of the most important metrics on this graph. When I talk about months supply of inventory, this is the number that I use to determine are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market, and it's kind of like, well, duh, okay, we're in a seller's market, right? But how deep of a seller's market are we in? A balanced market occurs when we have about a 6-month supply of inventory. When we go below 3 months worth of inventory, it's considered to be an extreme seller's market. And when that number drops below 1, that means that we truly have more buyers in the market than homes to sell those folks. And when we look at the month supply of inventory, we're sitting at 0.4 months worth of inventory, which basically means that at the current rate of sales in 13 days, we're going to sell out of all of the existing inventory. That's how fast our market is moving this year. Looking at where the market is moving fastest is we are under 1 month worth of inventory all the way up to $2 million. So this isn't something that's relegated to the under $500,000 market. This is something that's happening at all price points across greater Metro Denver. Even when we're looking at the $2 to $3 million mark, we only have 1.3 homes available per buyer. When we get up into the $3 to $4 million range, we have 1.6 homes available per buyer. And as we get into the over $5 million market, we have 3 homes available per buyer. So this is happening at all price ranges where we're in this just extreme, chaotic, crazy seller's market where we're seeing oftentimes for homes that are selling for over $700,000, they're going for $100,000 over asking price minimum in most cases. When we break it out and look at it on a map, I want you to think about this like a wind chill factor map. Where does it feel hotter and where does it feel cooler as it relates to all of Metro Denver when we look at the average as a whole? On average, again, we had about 0.42 months worth of inventory or about 13 days worth of inventory. If the zip code turns red on this map, the market is going to feel more competitive than the average. And if it turns green or blue, it feels less competitive on average than what we're experiencing across Metro Denver. What you've noticed is that there's this kind of donut ring of opportunity, and I don't know if I have a laser pointer on this. Oh, I sure do. Oh my gosh, it's the best when there's a laser pointer on the clicker. Okay, so there's this donut ring of opportunity that exists around this inner landlocked ring suburbs where we're seeing this real suburban surge. Over the last few years since COVID struck, we've seen this really big trend of moving away from urban, densely populated areas into areas that have more rooms and can accommodate more space and working from home. And that's where people are moving out to the suburbs. In some of the most intense markets down here on the south side of town in Highlands Ranch and Lone Tree, we're sitting at about 6 days worth of inventory in those particular markets. So if you're looking in those markets, it's really challenging right now. But if you're a seller, woohoo, the world is your oyster at that point, because you've got all the buyers in the world out there that are after your property. Over here on the eastern side of Denver and the western edge of Aurora, where home prices tend to fall around the $400,000 price range, is also very hot. What we've seen is appreciation continues to skyrocket as there's downward pressure on lower price points where people can't afford to purchase a $750,000 home anymore, so they're now looking at $500,000 homes being pushed over into that eastern edge of Denver and the western edge of Aurora. As we get up into Montbello and Central Park, those are also about 6 average days or 6 days worth of inventory in the market. Arvada continues to be a little hot spot, and down here into Lakewood. Recently in Lakewood, a few years ago, they put a growth cap initiative into place that limited the amount of construction that could come into those areas. And so with the limited construction that's coming into those areas, it's created a crunch within those particular markets. Now our Lodo market is our slowest market right now, but it's still sitting at 1.5 months worth of inventory, so it's still clearly in extreme seller's market territory, but it's going to feel a lot slower if you're working in Lodo than if you're trying to work down in Highlands Ranch and Lone Tree right now. Looking at, oops, nope, this one. Is anyone getting the bubble question still? Are we so tired of having this conversation? I talk about this every Friday at 10 o'clock when I do a weekly webinar for about 500 agents across Metro Denver. We're so far from a bubble, guys. There needs to be 3 different conditions that exist in order for a bubble to burst. We need to have an oversupply of properties, which we certainly don't have. We need to have a lack of equity in our market, which we certainly don't have. But we also have to suffer some sort of widespread financial hardship. And it could have happened with COVID when we went through the V-shaped recovery, but it didn't happen, and we came out of that in spades. None of those conditions exist. And in order for us to get even to a point where we were in a balanced market between buyers and sellers, we would need to have 18,000 total detached single-family homes available for sale. Again, we have about 1,300. So right now, we're sitting at about 7.3% of what we would require to offset demand. If I were to take that and add in the attached single-family homes, we need about 12,000 attached single-family homes. So to get to a point of a balanced market, we would need to have around 30,000 homes available for sale in Metro Denver, whereas right now we have about 2,200 total on an average daily basis. Looking at what's been happening with the odds of selling, the odds of selling is actually a little bit lower this year than what we were experiencing last year. Last year was really the crunch year for us. At this point last year, we were sitting at nearly 86% odds of selling, which is the highest I'd ever measured that pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, that number sat around about 61%. The odds of selling, for those of you who have taken Ninja training, it's a Ninja number that you guys use. I take into account all of the available listings for sale, and I compare that against what goes under contract and or closes in the same month. So again, as of this last month, we were sitting at 81.4% odds of selling. That number will likely climb as we go into April and May, and then usually what happens in June is we start to see pullback as our active inventory starts to rise. So the good news is more inventory is on the way. The odds of selling remained above 70% all the way up to $2 million. And so again, just skyrocketing crazy numbers putting put up in the luxury markets right now. Highest and best odds of selling still fall around that innerland locked ring suburbs where we're really seeing that crunch where we were at 95.1% odds of selling as you got down into Lone Tree and into Highlands Ranch. Showing data, there were nearly 102,000 showings that were set in the month of March for detached single family alone, with another 40,000 showings that were set for attached single family. Now what I wanted to show you is the total showable properties. When we talk about the total showable properties, this is actually if I wanted to take my client out, how many total listings were available to be shown during the month of March. And it's a lot higher than that 1,300 number that I spouted off a little bit earlier. There were about 5,500 total showable properties for detached single family during the month of March. That means that my active month end count from the end of February plus any new listing that came on market that was available to be shown. So there's a lot more inventory out there than what we've been talking about. And when we look at that number, month over month, it went up by 33.2%. It's up 9.2% from where we were 1 year ago. So there's a lot more inventory out there than what we've been talking about. As we go through this really unprecedented period where it's very challenging for us to try and price properties appropriately, what you're looking at is sellers that really want to overprice their property and want to shoot for the moon because they know how deep of a seller's market it is. But if you're looking at one of those listings that's too hard and you're overpricing it, you really have to watch your showings very carefully. That's our best leading edge indicator right now. There's a great report that you can use that's out of Showing Time underneath reports called Target Market Analysis. Analysis, and you can go in and put in your zip code and the last week worth of data, and it will tell you how many shows per property last week you should have received on a new listing that came out. So it's in showing time, reports, target market analysis is what you want to look at, but that's how you can tell how many shows per property you should have gotten. That could be strike one if you're not within your target range. But based off of showings that went up last month, you should have had 22.8 showings should have yielded you an offer. So if you hit 22.8 showings and you had no offers, that's probably indication number one that you were in a market where you might have been overpriced. Days on market, 71.4% of all the homes that closed in the month of March were under contract in 7 days or fewer. Again, 71.4% of those homes. That went down month over month by about 2.3% because we had some active inventory that made its way to market, and our pending transaction count actually slowed ever so slightly. Looking at where we're seeing the fastest transactions, again, those inner landlocked ring suburbs where we're seeing the fastest transactions, many of them sitting at 6 or 7 average days on market. The average overall for Metro Denver for the month of March was 14 when I combine both attached and detached residential. I think the big story here that we want to be talking about is what's happened with pricing and what we're looking at with multiple offers, and I'll end on that note. So looking at what's happened with our average pricing month over month, our average sales price came up again another 7.3%, just month over month. That means that our average sales price here in Metro Denver was $789,000 and some change. That means that we could be hitting $800,000 for an average sales price this year. We still have 3 more months of appreciation that are likely as we go into the next couple of months. What this graph shows is how our prices typically trend. If the bar is above the 0 mark, that means that prices are going up. And if the bar is below the 0 mark, that means that prices are going down month over month. And when we follow that trend, we still have 3 more months with typical appreciation here in Metro Denver. The last 2 months have been unprecedented we had a jump in February of 8.3% and in March of 7.3%. So again, year to date, we've seen appreciation that's already happened on the realm of 13 to 15% just so far this year alone. I read a really interesting statistic that talked about homeowners from last year, and that more homeowners made more money simply by owning their home than they did in their average day job. Looking at let's talk about multiple offers. I'll jump up to that really quick so that you guys can see that. But you guys will get a copy of every slide that I put together for you on a monthly basis. Based off of closings from the month of March, it was 77.7% of those listings sold for over their asking price or were in a multiple offer situation. We had 10.6% come in at a full price offer with 11.7% going for under asking price. And when I break it out for you by price range, the red bar represents the percentage of those listings that sold for over their asking price. All the way up to 1.5 million, it was basically 80% of all the homes were selling for over their asking price. When you get into the 1.5 to $2 million range, it was basically 2 out of every 3, and that rang true all the way up to 4 to 5 million. And then in the $5 million mark, it was 1 out of every 3 homes were selling for over their asking price. So multiple offers reign true. Now, if you are in a position where you're likely to see how far over asking price you have to go, for those homes that won multiple offers in the month of March and closed, for homes that were up to $1 million, you were looking at anywhere between 8.5 to 10% over asking price is what was winning those offers. As you go up into higher price points, 1 to 1.5 million was 12.8% over asking price, 1.5 to 2 million was 10.7% over asking price, and 2 to 3 million was coming in at about 7% over asking price was what was winning those multiple offers. Where we're seeing the most multiple offers is there's a very clear line of demarcation that runs down along I-25. If you're looking at homes that are on the west side of I-25, you're paying anywhere between 7 to 14% over asking price on average, versus on the east side of I-25, where homes tend to be a little bit less expensive, people have less money to go through and overbid in some of those homes. And so look more on the east side of I-25, you're looking at somewhere between 4 to 8% over asking price. So again, it's a challenging market out there. We've got about 6 to 8 weeks left of this really challenging market happening here in Metro Denver. As we get into June, we'll start to see active inventory rise. people will go on vacation and we'll have that traditional seasonal pullback. That also happens to coincide with the point where we saw interest rates spike up, and it usually takes about 6 months before interest rates spike up before us to start to see a cool down in the rate of appreciation here in our market. So I'm hopeful that that will all coincide with each other, and we'll start to see prices pulling back as you go into June, July, August, and September. Okay, so was this helpful information for you guys? Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for having me. I certainly appreciate it. And what people fail to recognize is that I'm actually just a title rep. I happen to put this together for you guys so that you have information where you can better advise your buyers and sellers. But what I certainly hope is that if I'm able to help you better advise your buyers and sellers, that you'll reach out to me for your next closing and bring that over to First American. If you're not currently getting copies of my slide decks every week, you can send me an email and I'll shoot you out a copy of my slide decks. My email address is maller, A-L-L-E-R, at firstam.com. I've currently got about 7,000 agents that are on that distribution list where I send out weekly reports that give you the forecast for the previous week and upcoming weeks. So please get on my email list and I'll be happy to reach out to you and connect, and hopefully I'll see you at my closing table soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Megan. The stat that the average person made more money in owning a piece of real estate than in their job. I feel bad for the people waiting on the sidelines for the bubble to burst. All right, next up we have an awesome duo. So I'm going to bring up Connie Kraska and Kylie. So I'll start with Connie. So Connie Kraska is with Liv Sotheby's. She's a Colorado native, and Connie has served the Front Range of Colorado in listing and the sale of homes since 2004. Real estate runs in her family blood, and with her mom starting a brokerage in Pueblo in 2000, where she cultivated a robust business that was based in the sale of bank-owned homes. Connie followed suit, acquiring some of the nation's largest banks as clients and selling hundreds of foreclosed homes from Fort Collins to Pueblo, Colorado, and nearly every city in between. With over 1,000 successful closing real estate transactions, Connie was named one of 5280's top real estate producers for the third year in a row, as well as earning platinum status with the Denver Metro Association of Realtors last month with nearly $30 million in sales for 2021. Connie currently associates with Liv Sotheby's, International Realty, and has for the past 4 years, where she has honed in her skills in the luxury real estate market and expanded her skill set. Did I say something wrong? Okay. I said Megan Aller's time in the business wrong. Starting Q1 of this year, Connie has closed $5 million with another $3 million in pending sales. Learning and adapting to changing markets is something Connie lives for and is excited to share her knowledge along with her respected colleagues. In her spare time, Connie enjoys spending time with her husband and 2 young kids. Cooking, shopping, hiking, travel are some of the things that she enjoys most. So Connie is going to be speaking alongside Kylie Russell, who's also with Liv Sotheby's. Kylie began her real estate career in 2000 after graduating from CU Boulder with a business marketing and real estate degree. She spent 9 years as a private real estate assistant, and in May of 13, Kylie went on her own and completed 50 transactions in 7 months. Kylie consistently closes 100 transactions a year, and in 2021, she exceeded her goal and did 104. Kylie is also with Liv Sotheby's and has been with the company since its inception. Welcome, ladies. Come on up and share your knowledge with us.
So as you can imagine, it's very nerve-wracking being up in front of all of these people and trying to figure out what we're going to say. But
following Megan Aller.
And following Megan Aller. You know how hard that is. She's amazing and just spews out stats like right off the top of her brain. I really want to thank Jessica and her team for having us on the panel and getting to share some of our experience and our ideas with you guys. I know it's a little bit challenging right now trying to just survive in this market. If you're new, it's like, what do we do? How do we get into this? And hopefully we can help a little bit, give you some ideas and really like dive into what we've had success with.
Yeah, Connie's my work wife, and she's up here for moral support because I personally, this scares me, and I'm only doing this because it scares me to be up here. But I do feel like I do know a lot, and I do want to share anything that's helpful.
Sure. So our company practices Ninja quite a bit, and we always operate from a place of abundance. And when you have a mindset of abundance, you can share, and you can offer things, and you don't have to be secretive about what makes you successful, right? Because there's enough business to go around, there's enough money to go around, and everybody in here deserves to be just as successful as we are and the other speakers today. So I talk a little bit about how I started my career because I like to talk about how changing with the market is important. So for 12 years, from 2004 to about 2015, I sold foreclosures, a ton of them. And the difference is your client, your relationship, the person you're building this relationship with is a bank. It's not really a person. Okay, you have your asset managers and you have people that you talk to, and they just kind of throw business your way, and that's how I made business for 12 years. And I kind of didn't ever think that was gonna end. I put a lot of eggs into this basket, and in 2015, I was about to have my son, the foreclosures were almost getting to be over. And I was like, okay, so now what am I gonna do? Nobody's just calling me and saying, here's 5 listings today, go figure out how to sell them. And I was like, okay, so I didn't do retail, all I did was bank foreclosures. So in 2015, I took a little break, I had my son, and I came back to real estate, and I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't have foreclosures now. So in comes the world of retail, and I was like, I'm not giving up real estate. I love it. And so I had to teach myself how to do retail. I spent 1 year at a smaller firm, and then I went over to Sotheby's, where I really found a place that I could call home and really hone in like those skills that it takes to sell retail. So I went through the Ninja training program. If you haven't done it before, or your office doesn't offer it or whatever, you might want to look into it. It is oh my God, I just spaced his name. Larry Kendall. I always want to say it's the Keller Williams guy, but Larry Kendall. Anyway, so I went through this program and really learned how to kind of grab clients, retain them, and you want to talk about Ninja a little bit too?
I don't feel like I'm a great Ninja ambassador because I don't do it as much as I should.
Okay, so anyway, I guess Kylie doesn't do Ninja, but I do. What it really started with was realizing that over the course of my foreclosure career, I hadn't maintained really any relationships with people that had bought those homes. I was starting from scratch, and this is in like 2016 or 2017, after coming from a pretty successful career selling foreclosures. So I had to find people that know, liked, and trust me to sell their homes, right? And so I started to call them. I started to make myself present in their life. I think the most important thing for you to know is you always need to be on top of mind with your people. You're gonna have people that will always be your ambassadors. They're gonna tell their friends about you. Those are the people you focus on the most, for sure. Those are your cheerleaders, right?
Go ahead.
That
is something that I do well without knowing it, is I have a lot of client parties. I try to introduce my clients, ways that they can be successful, and over time, a lot of my clients that didn't know each other are now close friends, just we're connecting them. I was just thinking this year I might have a party for I Survived the 2022 real estate market, just for my clients that bought this year, just for fun, because we threw hell together. So I do try to always, probably at least, COVID aside, at least once a quarter have a pretty good sized party, and that's a fun thing to spend money on.
Yeah. So Kylie's really good and really, really creative. She's always in flow. If you do Ninja, it's about being in flow with your clients. You're not calling them and asking them for business. You're not calling them and asking them for a referral and saying, hey, I really need to sell something this year. Do you mind? No. You want to be the person that is always on the top of their mind when they are thinking about real estate or talking about it with their friends. How do you stay on top of their mind? You call them. You email them. You text them. If I'm driving through a neighborhood and I sold somebody a house last year, the year before, hey, I just drove by your house. I was just thinking about you. I hope you guys are doing well. That keeps you on top of mind. You are not bothering these people. They like to hear from you. Don't forget that, okay? They really do like to hear from you. And if they respond, awesome. If they don't, they don't.
Or they'll call you for, do you know a wallpaper hanger? Do you know a painter? Do you know a fence person? And then if you happen to remember to call them in a week and make sure your guy showed up and how did he do, extra super bonus points. I've been trying to get better at that. And it's really weird how they suffer in silence. They don't tell you that the guy didn't come. So I try to follow up with them, and I feel like that has been really impactful.
Sure. Being of value, creating value, offering them services, offering them I really have a lot of success. Every single year I do a real estate review, it's called. It's super easy to get. Everybody here has access to it if you're with NAR. And you just pop on there, you put in the address, it pops out this report. You make sure you always select hot market or it will make the price really low. And I personally drop these to every single client around Christmas along with a personal gift, a newsletter about my little family, and that's how I get listings at the beginning of the year. I start thinking about getting listings at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, okay? And so my spring has been actually pretty successful this year. The numbers they had have changed, but yeah, that's probably my biggest listing grabber is doing my end of the year reports. We also did a really fun day, a pie day. So I think pop buys are really important. You do not have to talk to them, okay? You just have to drop stuff. You don't have to go up to the door and say, hey, if you run into them, awesome. And you know what they want to do? They want to show you what they remodeled inside the house. They want to invite you in. Look at what I just did. I'll be ready in May. Don't worry, it'll be done. That happened to me 3 times when we dropped pies the other day for Pie Day.
March 14th is Pie Day. Connie happened to have just sold a client a house that owns the Cherry
Colorado Cherry Company. You guys
It's
should
the
go
cutest
there.
little pie store.
It's amazing.
And we only did, you did 20, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do a ton, but we just dropped them to clients that we could, and it was really cute. We got a lot of social media love
Yep.
from it, and it wasn't that expensive, but it was more just like if we could plan ahead and do one of those a month.
Yep.
And get different people each time.
Yeah, and so I have a running list, right? We gotta have a warm list and a hot list. Do not forget about your warm list people because they will come back to you. Hot list people are really important. I've got like a whiteboard in my office that shows my deals, my hot, and my warm. If I've gone through all my hot people and there's nothing that they can do that day, I move over to my warm people. I text them, hey, it's been a while. How you guys doing? Just checking in. How's the baby? If I'm on social media, not because I want to be, but because I have to be. Okay, I get a ton of business through social media. If somebody had a baby, I Amazon them a baby gift. If somebody just got married, I Amazon them, a matching, what's the one I like? It's his and her apron to cook together or whatever. Like, just be present in their life. Notice that they have things going on, right? Those are your people. Yeah. What do you think?
It's good.
Okay. Good.
we were doing notes on the way to the event this morning.
Yeah. So you can't get people to move out of their house unless they have a place to move to. That's, I think, the biggest challenge right now is understanding that your people are not going to go anywhere because they're scared. They're afraid that they're not going to have a place to move. It's super important to have a lender that has creative ideas to make that happen. But the other thing is to make sure if your people do want to move, you know what is going on. I spend almost every single day, I go to every new listing and I memorize almost every new listing that comes to market. Why? Because I might see something that somebody likes. I'm able to speak about it with those people. And I feel like it helps me really understand what's going on in the market. There was a bunch of stuff that came up last week at 500. 4 to 500, right? Nothing from 9 to 1 million, but I know these things because I study that every day. So when my sellers are ready to sell, I'm like, oh no, there's plenty for you to look at. Here's what you can look at. And I think getting sellers comfortable enough to sell, I mean, your golden ticket people are the ones that want to sell and go move to a cheaper state. Those are your people. But if you don't have those people and they need to move in state, you need to make sure that they know that there is something to buy and that there is a solution for them where they want to go. So everybody's job is to get something on the market this month.
One of my colleagues out of Utah, she gave me this talk track and I use it almost every day. She says, if you're scared, follow me, because it is scary for them. It's not that scary for us because we do it all the time. And I just love that because it gives people this instant confidence. If you're scared, follow me. This is what I do. I always tell people, I wouldn't do your job. I don't know how to do your job at all. I don't know how to public speak, but this is what I do. So just follow me, trust me, you know.
Yeah. Kylie is very, she does the most amazing things, and I just want to brag on her a little bit. She comes up with the most amazing client parties. Kylie sold about $70 million last year. That was not in her thing, and she's not going to brag about herself, but I will brag about her. The girl does, she connects people. She has ideas. If somebody needs something, she is on it for them. And I know she won't talk about herself, but I will do it for her. She's been like one of the number one brokers, and she didn't go out on her own till what, 2014? So she worked for Ann Dresser talk about your.
I've always worked for, private assistant for top producers. So I like it because I like being busy. I like being relevant. So I don't want to sell 8 luxury homes. I want to sell 100 homes in all parts of Metro Denver and all price points so that I can be a really good resource no matter what part of town or what price point people are looking in. That's just really important to me to be knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But since we're running out of time, I wanted to just give one takeaway that I've been using a lot this year, and I think it'll be helpful with you guys. I have been taking my multiple offer spreadsheets that I'm doing for my sellers, you have 12, 13 offers, and sending them to my buyers. So I'm sending them the menu of clauses that they're gonna use. How much of your appraisal gap are you gonna do? Which of these 4 inspection clauses do you like? From the day I meet them, and then I also send them the multiple offer spreadsheet that I already had made for other clients. And from the very beginning, it starts them putting their seller hat on of, they just don't get it until they see how they're gonna line up. And they see real quick, oh, full appraisal, unless I have full appraisal gap, I'm probably not gonna make the top 5. It can be a really good offer. I would say that's a damn good offer. It's not a winning offer. So seeing that spreadsheet is really, really helpful for them. I have one that I've been sending to all my clients this year. I feel like it takes 2 or 3 weeks off of their
Shopping time.
shopping. And when rates are going up really quickly and prices are going up really quickly, if I don't educate them and get them, it's not about, I'm like, I'll be selling houses next year. You won't be able to afford to buy if you don't do it sooner.
Yeah.
So I hope that's a helpful trick for you guys because I have used it a lot and they just seems to resonate. Or I'll say, which of these 12 offers do you think we picked? They always guess the wrong one because I'm like, you gotta be the winner in every category. Not just price, but the appraisal gap, all that.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure she'll share her fancy,
I
she's
will.
shared her spreadsheet with me, and I'm sure she'll share it with you guys too. It just helps to make sure you're setting these expectations for these people. They don't take it seriously unless they lose a couple and have some heartache. I know we're talking about listings, but buyers turn into listings, right? I have people that bought last year that are ready to sell again this year because here's a good piece of advice. They're not going to get their dream house right now. That's probably the biggest takeaway is that you tell your buyers, it used to be 80%, guys. Now we're happy to have 60%. If you got 60% of your list, go for it, please. Because this is your wealth building tool to get to your dream house in a house or 2. Maybe it takes 2 houses, I don't know. But all we know is right now, if they're giving you a list that says that they want to have like, I don't know, whatever the fancy stuff is, say, look, that's not going to happen this time. Next time it will. If you wait and you sit on the fence, you're not going to get into this market. It's going to be your people at the bottom, they're not going to get in. So I think setting the expectation that 60% of your list right now is pretty darn good. Make your moves on that and get it.
Elise wanted us to talk about this, but we do partner a lot. We don't work together, but we don't not work together. And sometimes if we just need some extra enforcement,
bandwidth,
because she's really good at that. Sometimes my clients, she'll help them for one weekend, or they become our clients, and then there's under contract because they trust her. She thinks outside the box more than I do, and she knows parts of counties that I've never even been to.
But she'll work me under the table any day. Don't let her tell you that. But we do partner a lot. It allows a greater bandwidth. So if you're working a company where you have somebody and you like to go out of town, you go on vacation, I think the point they want to have us together is that we do partner quite a bit. You know, you get 2 brokers for one. You tell your seller you get 2 brokers for one, and or buyers, right? And it allows you to have more time and more energy for
and we both have private
everybody.
assistants also, which we could talk about offline, but both of our assistants, like, why wouldn't, it's better for our clients, and I'd rather have half and put in, 60% or 40% sometimes, and just still be relevant, still know what's going on, and being with those clients.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
That went by fast. I thought it was going to be slow, so thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Connie and Kylie. That was awesome. You guys are great. And beautiful. I was sitting there staring at your pictures. You guys are both so pretty. All right, next up, my dear friend, Grant Muller. So Grant runs the Grant Muller Group at Compass. His two-person team did 1.2 in GCI last year. Grant is a certified high-performance coach and realtor on a mission to help high achievers who have tried every tool and tactic to sell more, achieve more, and find more fulfillment, but aren't quite making the progress they desire. In his book, Top of the Heart, coming this summer, Grant shares his story of becoming a millionaire before 30, followed by a downward spiral that caused him to lose everything. By finding the humility to ask for help and the courage to get real, Grant moved past addiction and homelessness and built a remarkable real estate career as a consistent 7-figure earner year after year. Grant knows what it takes to sell and sell well, and it all starts with a heart-centered approach. He volunteers on the boards of One Colorado and Urban Peak to ensure all of us have help when we want it. When he's not coaching or working in real estate, you can find Grant competing with his horse and enjoying downtime with his husband and his Pomeranians. Welcome, Grant Muller.
I love this room because it's filled with great sound, because I like to talk a lot, but the lighting's kind of bad, so I look great in the dim lighting. So I'm going to have to just try this first. Go the other way, it's the opposite. There we go. So how to maintain business and generate listings in today's market. When I sat down and thought about sharing how to maintain business and generate listings in today's market, you know, I think it's a little bit of a trick question, today's market. What is today's market? And so I wanted to find today's market as the period of time from when we got shut down in lockdown for COVID to now. And, you know, Megan did a great job of talking through all the details and the ups and downs from day to day, week to week, month to month. But we're in this broad market cycle. And when I remember sitting down when we got locked down during COVID, I was at my home office. I thought, this isn't going to last for a week. This COVID thing is just, you know, a fly-by-night thing. People are overreacting. And by the end of the week, I thought, this thing is going to last for 3 years. We're never going to sell real estate again. I'm going to have to move into the storage unit again. I'm going to lose everything. And so it was a real dramatic shift. And sitting in my home office, I thought about this question: how do I maintain business and generate listings? And I thought about what I've been doing since I've been in real estate. You know, in 2009, how did I maintain business and generate listings? It was a very different market. How did I grow my business between 2009 and now? And I realized it really came down to fundamentals. And this thing is the opposite of what you would imagine. Who plays tennis? Great. So in tennis, there are fundamentals. What's a fundamental in tennis? Forehand. Maybe how you hold your racket. What's another fundamental that gets tennis going? Eye on the ball. Great. Does tennis change in the rain? And that's a terrible example, by the way. Bad me. We don't play tennis in the rain. Let's say it gets windy. Do you need to worry about your eye on the ball in the wind? Does it matter how you hold your racket in the wind? So fundamentals remain regardless of the conditions. In fact, fundamentals get much more important as the conditions change, right? And so I thought about this and thought, I better think about what are the fundamentals in real estate? What are the things that have gotten me to where I am, because the conditions are changing, which makes fundamentals much more important. So in real estate, negotiation skills, important or not important as conditions change? Yeah. Listing presentations, do we still do those in this market? Did we do them in 2009 if we were in business then? Sure. Will we do them tomorrow if the market changes again? Sure. What are other fundamentals in real estate? Customer service. That remains the same, right? Transaction coordination, do we still need to worry about that? Okay, my point is made. Successful people deal in truths. There are certain universal truths. Is gravity good or bad? Depends, right? So if you're walking through a 7th-story window out in an apartment building, gravity is bad. If you like to stand on the earth and not get sucked up into the universe, gravity is good. That's a truth. Gravity doesn't care if you like it or not. Gravity doesn't care if you're walking out the 7th floor apartment window or if you're standing on earth. Interest rates are a truth. Interest rates don't care about us. They don't care about what we're trying to accomplish. Inventory is the truth. Megan can tell us all the numbers, and I think it's really important to know that, but is there anything we can do really in the macro level about inventory? No. Inventory this is an issue that was created in 2009 when the home builders got really behind on building homes, and many other factors that are absolutely out of our control. So we can't do anything about those truths. But as I sat there thinking about how do I build my business and generate listings, there was a business fundamental that had carried me through from 2009 to grow my business to now. One key business fundamental, and I hope the slide, wow. Any guesses? Relationships. And through my career, I've had a really big influence and a really great mentor, and his name is Bob Burg, and he wrote the book, The Go-Giver. And that's the book that I've used to build relationships and to learn about how to build powerful business relationships. And these 5 laws of stratospheric success are truths, like gravity. And they're truths that you can enjoy or not enjoy. You can put into action or not put into action. They don't care about you. They're going to be truths whether you pay attention to them or not. So as I sat there, I thought, let's get back to the fundamentals. Let's look at the truths. And I'm going to share these 5 laws with you. They're very simple. They're not easy. The law of value. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Now, not your true intrinsic worth. You're worth a lot because you're human beings, and I love you. But as a business person in the market, that's how your true worth is determined. The law of compensation, your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. The third law is the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Anybody up on the stage today has mastered that. That's why they have the business they do. The law of authenticity, the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. And the 5th law, the law of receptivity. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. So these are the 5 laws, and they've guided my life, my business. I just spent a week with Bob, and if you ever get a chance to do that, you should certainly do that. It's incredible. But I decided to focus on one, because I was sitting there preparing for bankruptcy. I was literally sitting there thinking, COVID is ending everything. I'm never going to sell another house. How am I going to impact my income? And your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. So grab a piece of paper in front of you and just make a big T on the piece of paper. So on the left, at the top, just write how many. So the first thing we have to figure out if we want our income to go up is how many people we serve. And there are 3 ways that we can increase how many people we serve. Number 1 is play the long game. As we just heard, buyers or sellers. Now, I know you're here today to understand how to improve your listings tomorrow, but I'm sorry to tell you that's just not how it works. So get to work now. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. So start to work on treating your buyers as sellers. Here's the great news. It's really, really hard to get a buyer under contract right now. What does that mean? That means that you're spending way more time with each of your buyers in this market. What does that mean? That means that if you're adding value, if you're great to them, if you put their needs first, you're building incredible relationships with your buyers that you wouldn't be building in other markets. So take advantage of that. Build the relationships. Stay in touch with them over time, and they will be sellers. And luckily in this market, as somebody just mentioned, some people sell in a year or two. But you need to make a decision. Are you in this business for a year or two, or for 6 or 8 or 10 or 12? And if you're committed, you will build an incredible listing business this way. The second thing is to add value over time, as I just mentioned. So be the trusted resource. Don't just be the trusted resource about where to hire a plumber. Be the trusted resource about the best Mexican restaurant in town. Your clients who move here from Texas need to know that. Be the trusted resource about everything you can be the trusted resource about. Stay in touch with your people. And as I say, go from top of mind to top of heart. So spend real time with them, being a human being with them. Drop the realtor mask. Just be yourself. The third is to be referable. And there are 3 keys to being referable. I could spend the rest of the afternoon talking about them, but they are character, competence, and communication. So while you're with these buyers over way too extended periods of time, use the opportunity to show your character, your competence, and be a great communicator. So the second half of the T there is how well we serve them. And there are 3 ways that you can increase how well you serve them. Number 1, develop mastery. In my neighborhood, I do twilight photography. So the other realtors in my neighborhood said, oh, Grant's doing twilight photography, we're going to do twilight photography. So they started doing twilight photography. Why? Because I was doing twilight photography. But I was doing twilight photography because I get a 32% higher click-through rate on my social media ads when I use twilight photography. I get a higher return on ad spend when I use twilight photography. So what happened when they started using twilight photography? My numbers went down. So what did I do? I stopped doing twilight photography, and I do daytime photography. So now all the realtors in our neighborhood do daytime photography. But they don't get the idea behind why I'm doing it. And I tell this story in listing appointments all the time, and that's how I win them, because it's a mastery. Now, that's just a tiny piece of what I master. Can I master stats? Absolutely not your guy. I don't remember anything Megan just said. Not one piece. I asked her to send me, and by the way, best title rep ever. I asked her to send me, summaries. I can't even, I don't even get the summaries. So that's number 2. Play your game. That's the non-compete zone. If you know stats, you're going to win that game against me all the time. If you got your license last week, you can invest 10 times the amount of effort, concentration, and time with your sellers than I can. I don't have time. If your clients need someone with the best haircut in town, I can't win. So play your game. Figure out what works really well for you and play that game. The third piece, and this is the piece that I've spent my life really thinking about, and this is where I'm going to spend the second half of my life, is improving the product. You're the product that you're offering the marketplace. So think about personal development. I'm doing okay with time. So think about personal development. How can you improve the product that you're offering the marketplace? Mastery is one of the ways, but we do have time for 6 pillars of high performance. If you want to be a high performer, here are some things to think about with personal development. The first is psychology. Do the thoughts that run through your mind empower you or enslave you? Right? Do you have the belief in yourself to show up the way you want to in the world? Are you happy with your life? I mean, these are basic questions. Number 2, physiology. Do you have the energy? Do you have the stamina to serve your mission? Most of us have plenty of time. The truth is we run out of energy before we run out of time. And when you're done working, do you have the energy to show up at home the way you want to for your kids, your loved ones? The third is productivity. Productivity, it always comes up. But at the end of the day, are you distracted from your work, from your mission? Are you distracted from your family by your work? Both of those are really important. People, do you maintain the relationships, the influence to bring people along on your mission? That's code for, do you get along with people so they give you referrals? Very key. The fifth is presence. So I've coached a lot of realtors, and I always tell them, I lunch for a living. I make almost all of my money going to lunch. And I teach them to go to lunch. Yeah, drives me nuts. But people show up at lunch differently. And when they weren't having the results I was having, I had to really ask why. And if the person that shows up doesn't have the presence, they aren't passionate, they aren't enthusiastic, they don't bring the joy into the room, they bring the negativity into the room. Oh my gosh, this market's impossible. My job sucks. They're not going to have the same results. So presence is everything. Work on your presence. And fifth is purpose. And for me, purpose, again, purpose is like mission. It can get fancy. But it's really about, are you living your life on purpose? For me, I had to get really real about that. I had to be truthful with myself. Yeah, I make a lot of money with buyers. But if I have to show one more house to one more buyer, I'm going to go crazy. You know, you walk in, you're like, yeah, there's the ceiling. Those are the stairs. I bet they lead down to what we call the basement. There's a sliding glass door in the back. It probably has a backyard back there. I can't do it. It's just not for me. So I had to get real and realize that's not my purpose. And that gave me the opportunity and freed me up, first of all, to find an incredible partner who's better with buyers than I am. And it freed me up to absolutely fall in love with the listing process. And so now I'm a better listing agent. So write these down. These pillars are awesome. If you want to know more, it's grantmuller.com, MULLER.com. Thank you.
Grant, you're so lucky to have Brooke. She loves the buyers. She's good at them. All right, next up, Jordan Terrell. So after spending years in the nonprofit sector, Jordan developed a passion for serving people. When Jordan got his real estate license in 2017, his passion continued in real estate as he maintained a service-driven approach, which he enacted in every real estate transaction. Jordan's passion for real estate began early as he bought his first investment property at the age of 25, and he hasn't stopped since. Since his first transaction, the trajectory of his success has only grown. In his first year as an individual agent, he exceeded his own goals by closing $12 million in sales in his first 6 months. In his first full year, he closed over $34 million in volume. He now runs a successful team of 22 licensed agents and 10 full-time staff at the Jordan Terrell Group, and they're with Real Brokerage. In 2022, Jordan's team is on track to do over $250 million in total volume. Jordan's leadership and tenacity for real estate has led his team to great success and growth. His passion and vision only grow with each year. Welcome, Jordan.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me here. I wanted to show you this video just to bring up a point here that this business is not just about what we do. It starts here and it starts here. And it's what happens between there that actually creates the businesses that we run. In 1997, Steve Jobs was brought back to Apple after he was fired after creating Apple. And he was brought back on board and he had to reinvent the company, and he released an ad. And you may be seeing this ad where he showed some of the greats of the world. You see these Gandhi, Martin Luther King, some of the greatest artists, some of the greatest philosophers. And he talks about the people who think differently, the ones that are crazy enough to think they can change the world are actually the ones that do. So I want to talk more about what happens between here and here. I could talk about tips and tricks and all those kind of fun things, but I really want to dive into the mindset of what makes our businesses work. See, I remember when I got into real estate, it was 2017. I had just quit my other job. And I had a few skill sets, and the only place that those skill sets would work was in real estate. And the problem with that is I hated realtors. I really did. I was like scared. I was like, a realtor's like a used car salesman. I don't want to be that. And I was really struggling with that. And as I stepped into the business, I read all the, I watched the videos, I went to the trainings, I did all the things, I sat down with some really successful people, and I said, how do I start my business? And I remember this one person I really respected set me down and said, hey, this is what you need to do. You need to sit down, you need to make a list of all your Sphere clients or all your Sphere people, the long list, and then you need to meet with all of them, and then you need to drop this line on them. What's it going to take for me to be your realtor? And so I tried it. I started scheduling lunches and coffees and all this kind of fun stuff. And I remember I got about 10 of those meetings in, and every time I dropped that line, it was like the DJ where the record stops. And they just looked at me and they were like, who are you? You see, I used to be a pastor back in the day. And whenever I would go out and hang out, I might be at a bar or something. Yes, pastors can drink alcohol, at least the world I lived in. And they'd be like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a pastor. And they would be like, and I'm like, so I thought maybe if I became a realtor, then that would change. And then people would be like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a realtor. And they'd be like, so either I'm the common denominator or I just choose weird jobs. I don't know. And so as I look at this idea of thinking different, what's the common denominator between all those people, the Muhammads, the Martin Luther Kings, the people that actually changed the world? They were crazy enough to actually be themselves. See, thinking different doesn't mean that you have to adapt to everything else. When I got into real estate, there was a model of how I was supposed to do it, and I couldn't fit into that box. You see, there's a lot of things I can do, but if I look at all the self-help realtor booklets and go to all the conferences, and there's a lot of tips and tricks that we can do, but if I try to fit into that mold, it's not me. So thinking different is actually just being yourself. So if you want to find out, because what happened when those people were themselves, they just were bold enough to walk in that, what happened is they actually changed the world. They achieved the highest level of success on accident. And so I had to figure out one common thought, which is real estate plus Jordan equals what? Real estate plus Jordan equals what? And you can fill in the blank for yourself. We are not adapting to become something called a real estate agent. We're taking real estate agent and adapting it to who we are. And if we can walk in that and find that, I really believe that you'll find yourself serving people in a different way. Because when we truly are walking in who our authentic self is, we find ourselves earning trust from clients quicker, right? You see, I can't be like Brett. Brett's funny. He's going to stand up here and make you guys laugh. I'm not. I'm handsome. He's not. So, here's the reality. Here's the reality. You know what I just did? I just made a joke to someone who's funnier than me, and he's coming up next. So he's going to get me back. So here's the reality. Thinking different means being yourself. If you can be yourself, real estate plus you equals what? You're going to find yourself in a place where you can authentically present yourself in the best possible way. How do you see Grant, you're going to have to teach me how to do this. There we go. See different. So how you see different matters. There's this huge market right now, and it really stinks, and it's challenging. And I think back to 2008, because when I wasn't in real estate, but when I got into the business, I started interviewing a lot of agents, and I started asking them, hey, what was your business like in 2008? 8 out of 10 told me that they almost quit, or they did quit, or whatnot. But there was a few people that I talked to that said, my business got busier. I said, how? What was, and they said it was all mindset. They looked for the opportunity. They saw differently. Why some of us, we find ourselves in this crushed place, we can look for opportunity. The way we see, there's always opportunity. People are always moving. People have to move. But if we see differently, we're going to be looking for it. But if we just, if you spend all your time looking at the news, you're going to be overwhelmed by that and crushed by that. But if you actually just go out there and make something happen and see and look for it, you can actually see a huge result. Mindset is a choice. You choose how you see this market. Last year, we found ourselves, or in 2020, most of us got just pummeled by the COVID, right? I found myself in a position where I was like, I don't know how we're going to sell a house. I remember even calling Brett, and I'm like, what do we do? And he's talking with people at DMAR and who's working on behalf of us, trying to talk to the governor to see if we can be essential services. And I'm like, how's this going to work? And I remember thinking, man, I don't think we're going to sell any homes this year. And I have staff and payrolls and all kinds of stuff. And I quickly thought, all right, we got to see differently. And so I said, all right, team, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to try to sell houses. We're going to call everyone in our database. We're going to call every one of our past clients, and we're just going to get on the phones every day and call people and check on people and see how they're doing. What do they need? Are they healthy? We didn't even talk about real estate. That's all we focused on. And by the end of the year, we sold more houses than we've ever sold. 2021 hit us. Inventory problems, challenging market. My team is a little younger. We don't do, not a lot of listing agents in my world at the time. And there's not a lot of inventory. And if you don't have a lot of listings, it's really hard to survive in a low inventory market, right? So we had to see differently. And we had to navigate that market. And we kept our mindset right. And now we find ourselves in 2022. Because from 2020 to 2021, we doubled our business. And from 2021 to 2022, we're up 90% Q1 over Q1. We have 80 million pending and closed already. And I don't know how we're navigating this other than our mindset and the way we're looking at it is we're just seeing differently. We're choosing to have a different mindset. Act different. You can't act like an agent when you're working with people. We have to think like a homeowner. We have to think like a human. We have to act differently. We have to put ourselves in the perspective of an actual person. People don't want to be treated like a commodity. They want to be treated like a human. So when I'm meeting with people, I'm trying to understand what's going on in their life and what do they really need. I'm focused more on what can I give than what can I get. I take the commission off the table because I truly believe if I help enough people get what they want, I ultimately get what I want to. So my only mission, my only focus when I'm acting and when I'm being myself is to figure out how to give people exactly what they want. And if I can help them get there, maybe I'll get taken care of in the process too. We have to act differently. We have to sell differently. I think we are taught often to be salespeople. And what is sales? Is this ability to convince somebody of something? I just don't like to sell things. I like to partner with people and understand what their mission is and what they're going through. Focus on helping, not selling. I think if we can just go into these ideas, these clients, these meetings, these situations, and fully understand what they're doing and what's going on in their world, we'll actually be able to partner with them in that problem. Before I go to a listing appointment, I typically will, the day before, will call them and have a 10 to 15 minute conversation. I have the listing appointment, but I don't want to walk into that listing appointment unless I know exactly what the situation that's going on. Who's ever walked into a living room of somebody's house and it's a listing presentation and all of a sudden you find out that you're in the middle of a couple who've just filed for divorce? And you're like, how's everybody going? That's a problem. And that's a hard situation. And if I show up as a salesperson, I'm not helping very much. I'm a problem solver in that moment. So what I do, I often will call the day before, have a 10-minute conversation and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I'm so excited to come over tomorrow. I just wanted to do a little prep work on my end. I don't want to show up unprepared, and I just have a couple questions for you. And I'll ask them some different questions, motives and what's going on and what upgrades have you done and what do you think your house is worth? How much do you owe? But ultimately, all I'm trying to figure out is what am I walking into so I can show up not as a salesperson but as a problem solver. Because now I can focus on what can I give them versus what can I get from them. Because if I give them the solution to their problem, I will get a tip at the end, right? So we have to focus and we have to sell differently. And then finally, we have to be different. We have to be different. There's 25,000 agents in our market. There's a lot of agents. And there's some big coaches out there in the country that are telling a lot of agents to do the same things. And we have to separate ourselves. Sellers right now want options. They want solutions. If we go in there and we simply say, hey, I can throw a sign in your yard, I can sell it, and I can charge you 6%. What else? What else can you do? We try to present as many options as possible. We try to solve problems. We can sell it traditionally. We can loan you cash. You need $10,000, you need $100,000. We can remodel your house. We can fix it up. We can make it better. We can do a trade-in program. We can buy your house. I can give you an offer right now. You need a place to stay in the meantime. We can arrange that. What do you need? Do you need a counselor? We can solve problems. But we can't just show up with a one-size-fits-all because no seller is equal. We have to separate ourselves. We have to be different. We have to present options. When I think about the idea of being yourself, when I think about the idea of truly walking in that idea that you are unique and you are awesome and you are a gift to this earth, if you can fully embrace that and walk in that, and you add real estate to that, it's like when that happens, you'll find a level of confidence because that's who you're made to be. And if you walk in who you're made to be, you actually start to like yourself, and people feed off that. And when people like you, they trust you. And so adapting that, because whoever has been in this situation where you're trying to do the trick that the real estate person said, and you're like, this doesn't feel right. You have to understand, I used to be like the person that people came to with their problems. I was in a church environment, and all of a sudden I'm turning into a salesperson. I can't be a salesperson. I have to be a helper. I have to truly be myself. I have to truly walk in that. And so my biggest encouragement to you isn't a tip, isn't a trick. It's to solve what happens between here and here. Accept that awesome person that you are, add real estate to that, and then watch how it improves your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. All right. Short, you don't want me to read your whole, okay. All right. So Brett, the best looking one yet, was born and raised in Denver. Brett attended Grandview High School and earned a BA from Washington University. He's an active supporter of Colorado Public Radio, Jewish Colorado Goodwill, and Habitat for Humanity. In his free time, Brett enjoys beer tasting, fine restaurants, skiing, camping, traveling, reading, and spending time with his wife and two adorable children. Brett runs BSW Real Estate, and they have a very special purpose, which I'm hoping he'll tell us about.
My whole goal is that Jess doesn't have to stand up while I'm up here, so as long as she doesn't have to pull me off stage, I feel like I've won. Does anybody have something that they wanted to hit on or that they wanted to learn about before I start going? Also, that was really funny, so I don't know why nobody laughed. Do I need to start off with a joke? Would that help? Okay. Did you guys hear about the kid napping yesterday? He woke up. Because the kid was napping, and then he woke. Okay, so is there anything that anybody wants me to hit on that they haven't feel like they've heard today or that they wanted specificity on. Yeah, please.
Okay, so I would like, because I've been hearing a lot of different things, and I would like any insights on where we might be headed in terms of the real estate market.
Okay.
Not just this year, but beyond.
Perfect. Okay, then let's start with Megan Aller. Okay, so Megan's presentation for us can be if you're listing a house, seems like the best thing ever. If you're newer in this industry, or even if you're listing, it's scary as hell. Like it presents that this is a market that has the highest buyer concentration. We've got a ton of listings, but there's so much demand. Everything is over. This is the end. Oh my God, we should just leave. Couple things are happening right now, and I disagree with Megan all the time, and so she's not going to be upset or offended by the fact that I'm disagreeing with her on a few of these things. Interest rates have gone up and have gone up substantially. For those of us who have been in the market for a while, we recognized about 2 to 3 weeks ago that the market started to shift. Is that fair? Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people who are nodding their heads yes. How long does it take the public to realize that the market is shifting? Typically for me, it's somewhere in the range of 2 months. We start to see reports of it 30 days later. The market has shifted. So now my house was listed. It went under contract. It sold 30 days later. I listed it in February. It sold in March. So we're seeing all this information from March, but we're in April now. And if I was a buyer in March and now it's a month later, and March 3rd, I was super, super excited about this house. I called Jess. Jess, what were rates on March 3rd? 4.5, 4.25, somewhere in there. Okay, I am pumped. Jordan came up. You were a pastor. It was just, and you have the walk and the whole thing is amazing. But I go to Jordan's listing because he found a counselor. Side note, don't get people counselors. Never do that. Don't get a counselor for people. That's too much. But I call Jess right now and I say, hey Jess, I am so pumped about this house. I know that we're 4.25, 4.5. Where are we right now? So my rate's now 5.25. So I was fortunate enough, I have Megan Aller on speed dial. I can tell you that half point cost around $40,000 of purchasing power. Maybe a little bit more, okay? So all of a sudden, I thought I was gonna buy this house. I thought everything was great, but I'm operating on a March timeframe. Now it's April. I'm trying to buy this house. I just lost $40,000 of purchasing power. My monthly payment has gone up and gone up a decent amount. $100, $200 makes a big difference to people. Let's not minimize this. Within this market, these numbers are so outrageous and so large. I never focus on the purchase price whenever I'm working with the buyer. My goal is to focus on the monthly payment because that's what they live with for the next 30 years. It's not the purchase price. You do a purchase price and a down payment once, but if you can't afford that monthly payment, you're shit out of luck. That's it. So we recognize now in April that we've gone up a half point, 3/4 of a point. Oh God, maybe I'm gonna readjust my search, or maybe I'm gonna leave the market. And so that puts us into a position right now where the general public takes about 2 months, because when people start to leave, now news is reporting on it. And those articles are gonna come out 30 days later. So it takes about 2 months for the public to catch up. Us as agents have started to recognize the market is starting to shift. Okay, so really great agents, right? I'm listing this house for $900,000. We thought we were gonna get 20 offers. This was 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. We got 3 offers. First offer came in at 900. Side note, I list a lot of properties. I panic all the time, every time. So if you have a listing and you don't have offers on it and you started showings yesterday, please know I'm panicking with you. I'm very empathetic. It makes me very uncomfortable. But we had 900, so an offer comes in at 950. An offer comes in at 1.05, and we sold it at 1.15 for cash. We had 3 offers. Everyone was assumptive we had 20 offers. We didn't. We had 3. When the market starts to catch up and realize, when we start to catch up and realize, when we start to ask better questions and put ourselves into a position of more knowledge, when we recognize that, the market will start a correction, and will start a correction substantially sooner. So my guess is, and this is where Megan and I disagree, I think April will still see appreciation. I think in May we'll start to see the market dip a little bit. I think we'll start to see that happening. I think that if you're working with buyers in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you should be able to get a buyer under contract. I don't think that you're going to be competing against 20 offers. I don't think the market is the same as it has felt. So realistically, be optimistic. Guys, this market hasn't been healthy. When we're talking about 13 to 15% year over year of appreciation, that's great for a seller. That's wonderful. And what is 64% of people are homeowners, something like that? Is that give or take the number? I think it dropped a little bit. That's great for them, but for everybody else, that sucks. This is awful. We don't want to see our appreciation happen this quickly, because that's why we consistently have these conversations about bubbles. That's why we're consistently talking about how bad this industry is and how terrible it is. And if you have recognition that this market's shifting, and it is shifting, and it's shifting right now, there's going to be a lot more opportunity. So please be optimistic about it. Please know that your buyers are going to have a much more of a chance. So that turns into sellers, which means that when you're listing a property, you don't list your property at the highest amount that you possibly can. You list your property. A bunch of properties sold at 900. The last property sold at 950. I'm going to list at 900. I'm not going to list at 950 because I'm not going to be the one who's sitting there for 2 or 3 weeks with my seller's expectations. So that's what I think is going to happen with the market. I think it's happening right now. I think the market has already shifted. I think we've never seen interest rates go up this quickly, at least not within a market like this, in tandem with appreciation going up 13 to 15%. So that's where I think the market is. So that's my first 2 cents. Is there anything else that people want me to dive? Yeah, please, go for it.
Do you feel that the rental increases are feeding into that too? We have clients who are panicking, first-time home buyers, but I really do feel like if they don't get in now, they may not.
I think that there's going to be a chance that they get in later. I think that it might be a year, it might be 2 years. I think that, for right now, if I'm listing, I don't think it's the best time to list anymore. I think the best time to list was a month and a half ago. But I'm still going to list right now because I'm not going to wait for prices to decrease. If we look at Megan Aller's stats, every single year, is it June, Megan, or July? July. Every single year, July is when prices start to decrease. We forget this. We go up 16%, we end the year up 12. Every single year. We go up 15%, we end the year up 9. We're under this assumptive thing that because we're always going up, that it goes up the entire year. That's not correct. Prices do come back down. They just end up substantially higher than where we were. So for renters, it's going to get ugly. So whatever they can grab onto, they should grab onto right now. And I let's circle back to what I'm supposed to be talking about. And I'll dive, and hopefully that if there's other things that people want to hit on, let me know. I talk fast. Let's see. Our industry sucks. Okay. We are racing very quickly towards the lowest common denominator. We're not working to educate ourselves. So please take a second, look left, look right, look at the people around you. These are people who are choosing to educate themselves, so kudos to you for coming to events like this. I hope that you got a takeaway. I certainly did. Kylie and Connie, Grant, Jordan, Megan, always, Jess. I looking at all the stuff you guys offer, it's amazing. But hopefully you're getting takeaways, but the majority of our market isn't here. The majority of our market isn't here to learn. They're not trying to get better. So let's circle back to that question. How do you get listings? How do you get more business? Everyone should know 3 fundamental questions. You should be able to answer these in your sleep. If you can't, find an expert to help you. Those 3 questions. What's going on with the market today? Interest rates are at 5.5. If we look at DMAR's market trend stats, we're up 20%. They said that it's 9%. Megan does not like DMAR's market stats. Her stats are substantially more accurate, but nonetheless, that's what's getting reported on in the news, not Megan. So we're up 20%. We're at 5 to 5.25% of interest rate. We're in a position where the market is shifting. You need to know that. Know what's happening with the market today. Know how we got here. If you don't know about construction defects, and what that did to our market and the lack of inventory, that's something that you need to learn about. If you don't understand what the shortage of labor and material has been doing to us over the last few years, that's something that you need to know about. If you don't understand how net positive migration is to not only the Denver Metro, but to Colorado, that's something that you need to understand. And you need to be able to talk about it. So if you don't know, go research. And the third thing, know your market, know how we got here. The third piece is know how to talk about it to whoever you're with. You need to know how to talk about it to a buyer, a seller, an investor, a random person, because if you get really, really good at those 3 pieces, you can get listings, you can get buyers, and you can get business anywhere. It's just those three. Be an expert. Keep in mind, our industry sucks, right? Like at the end of the day, how many people have called somebody, and if everyone doesn't raise their hand, I'm gonna be so pissed that, because you're clearly on your phone then. How many people have called somebody and not gotten a response in our industry? If you're on your phone, just look up, raise your hand, it's okay, take stock, it's fine. We're not trying to get better, and what that means that is, if you're an expert, if you're getting better, it may not work today, it may not work right away for you, you may not start to get listings and leads and everything today, but if you start to do this and you do this with consistency over and over and over, and you become an expert, I promise you that you will have business and it will come to you. I am not organized. These two are taking notes on everything I'm saying right now. Just very excited. These two are the most organized people in the entire world. I'm not. I pay babysitters to make sure that I'm like, I wouldn't have been here today if someone hadn't reminded me. I'm that bad. I do one monthly market video, and I consistently have these conversations where I know what I'm talking about with the market, and that's enough for me to get business. And it's taken me 10 years to get here, but that's where my business is coming from. If you can do this in a shorter time frame and stay organized and build systems and have consistency follow-up, if you can, like Grant said, have a presence, create your presence. You're in real estate. I hate to say it, but within this industry, presence becomes a really big thing. Jordan mentioned it today to me that, you know how you know a realtor is successful? He shows up in a t-shirt and jeans. I dressed up today because I knew I was on video, man. This is as good as it's gonna get. You'll notice that I'm wearing the exact same blazer, feasibly the same jeans. I put on new shoes though, so what's up? But like, create a presence. Who are you gonna be? How are you gonna be that expert? How are you gonna be that person? How are you gonna present yourself in general to the market? But making sure that you have a presence that you're gonna live by. Mine is that I'm the fucking expert. I know what I'm talking about. I know what's happening with the market, which means that my clients will call me even when I'm not reaching out to them to say, hey, can you tell me what's going on? Just because I'm doing social media. That's all. I'm bad at calling people. I'll throw client events once a quarter. I should get much better at this. I'll just have whatever events you guys do, just tell me and I'll do them. But it's one of those pieces where like I'm not that organized, but that's who I'm supposed to be. That's my presence. Jordan mentioned that you need to have a mindset. So craft your mindset. You can make up whatever mindset that you want. Make sure that it's an authentic one, but you can craft a mindset of who you're going to be. Are you going to be the one who's calling people every single day? Are you going to be the person who does leads and is a churn and burn? And that's okay. There's a lot of those people in the industry. That's not my style, but maybe it's yours. But figure out what is my mindset. How am I going to be consistent within this industry? I'm jumping all over the place. Let me see if I can hone back in a little bit. I think it was the picture in the blazer. I actually noticed that earlier. Let's talk about systems really quick. If you're a brand new agent, or if you're the most experienced agent with the team, you should do the exact same thing. Build systems. So there should be a template for everything that you are going to do. Everything that you plan on doing, even if you've never done it. How much longer do I have? Oh shit, well, just don't stand up yet then. I got it. All right, so really quick with those systems. If I'm gonna list a house, I'm gonna have a stager, I'm gonna have a cleaner, I'm gonna have templates of introducing my team of what they're gonna do. I'm gonna build out my marketing. I'm gonna have an email for what it's gonna look like when I am first meeting with those people. Here's my introduction email, here's my next email, here's what's gonna happen, and I'm gonna build out templates. If you don't have templates and you want some, shoot me an email. I'll send you every template that I have. I don't care, happy to share. Everybody does business in their own way. I got nothing else. I've got plenty else, but 13 seconds, she's not gonna stand up. Thank you very much, guys. Hopefully it was helpful.
Jordan, Grant, Kylie, will you guys come back up so we can just do a little bit of questions by the audience? Thank you. All the speakers come back up.
We stayed on time, you didn't expect us to.
I know. I had to like Brett said, I had to creep on you guys, but thank you for everybody. Cool. All right. So who would like to ask a question of the panel?
Great information. Ladies and gentlemen, guys, thank you so much. Pleasure to be in front of people that are doing 100 million a year, have, teams that are doing 250 million. My biggest question as an agent that's growing their team, that has all the templates and systems built and is working on recruiting, what systems and processes are you using to successfully service your clients and keep your head on straight, doing $70 million a year, doing 100 transactions a year, having a team of 20 that does $250 million a year? That is where I am personally struggling.
Who wants to
And I know it could be a long question, but
I think the quickest answer would be hiring a coach, or somebody that has all that built in. And but like there's really cool systems for teams. We use a system called Sisu that's dialed in partnership with like a CRM like Follow Up Boss. But we build out processes, and we use Zapier and things to communicate between the two. And so we've created forms for all of our agents that they're constantly filling out forms that are updating data that our transaction coordinators and listing coordinators can process. So anytime any movement happens in the contract, the CRM's updated with like people information, and the forms are filled out with transactional information, so everybody's on board.
Answer for that as well. Also, whatever he just said just made my mind explode. And so the other part of that is understand who you are. So this guy wants to build a big team and he needs systems. He needs to go out there and figure that out. And that's great. And Jordan's done that. That's not who I am, so I understand that, and I'm not going to build a big team. So when we're in these rooms together, we have to realize who we are and what we want to accomplish. And if that's not you, don't build a big team.
And then model the master, right? So if you want to do it Jordan's way, ask Jordan to go to lunch and ask him about what he's doing,
Happy to. Okay. Within this industry, with everything that's happening right now, I don't believe that the individual agent is going to be successful in the next couple of years. I think that it is really, really important that you have an assistant, that you have other people that you're partnering with, that you have somebody to be supportive. I think that everyone I do think everybody needs help, and I think that you have to have some piece of that. So I would say everyone should build a team, even if it's just support staff, even if it's a best friend.
In February of this year, I hired my second assistant. So mine are both licensed, but they don't bring in business. If they want to help their mom buy a house, no problem. But the production's mine, so that they can be focused on that. And this year, I really think that my second assistant will pay for herself. I guess I'll report back next year. But she'll make $100,000 this year. They'll both make $100,000 each. And I think I could either work a little bit less or make the same, and I would be so happy with either of those outcomes. But the first mistake I made when I hired an assistant was hiring somebody just like me. That's my other assistant. It's good because my clients feel comfortable when they're with her, but didn't add a whole lot to the, Yes, so now my new assistant, totally opposite of me, doesn't want to be me, doesn't want to leave her desk. And it's, it's really nice when you find people that work differently. And I can just absolutely see the value in paying people to do what they're good at.
Hi. I have a question for Jessica. What are your feelings about variable rate loans at this point?
That's a good question. I think they're going to make a comeback, something fierce, right? So in a higher interest rate environment, that's when ARMs become really popular, because when rates are 3%, I was telling everyone I was doing loans for last year, you'll never refinance this loan, ever. So, and you'll probably get stuck in this house potentially, because the next upgrade, if you've got a 3% rate, so think about that when you're buying your house, like buy a house that you could be stuck in. But yes, I think ARMs are coming back, and they're coming back fierce, and I think the lending industry will start rolling out some things to combat with higher interest rates. I think when interest rates, let's say they keep going up and we end up in May or June, to what Brett was speaking about, I think things will come back. Like, we have a program that's called a 2-1 buy down, which is basically you get your interest rate 2% beyond what the market is or below the market for your first year, 1% below the market for your second year, and then you go to the market rate on your third year, and it's a 30-year fixed loan. And they're really popular, but they're popular in a different market. And so I think, our market is very seasonal, and this is the season where the ARMs come back. So,
Hello. Hi, I was just wondering what was like the turning point for you to hire someone or create a team? I'm sure there was like a moment where you couldn't do it all for yourself anymore, so I'd love to hear that.
So hiring my assistant was totally life-changing. I was pregnant with my second kid, my daughter, and I needed help. I think I was probably at, you need an assistant when you're doing about 20 to 30 transactions a year is when you really need one. And yeah, so you've got to really get somebody that, like Kylie said, doesn't work like you. I hate being in front of my computer. CTM and me, don't care, hate it. Anything like that, I was like, you do this, and she has changed my life. I can be here today in front of my not in front of my computer because I have her. And so it was totally life-changing. It's scary because you realize you're responsible for this person. And I can talk to you about how we set up the pay structure if anybody's interested. So it wasn't really scary to begin with. It was, a salary plus bonus based for deals and stuff. And she's been with me for 3 years now, and believe me, I love her to death, and I hope she never leaves me. And I just throw money at her. If she needs something, I'm like, girl, if you need to take a break, here, you go get a massage. Like, take care of your people. If you do hire an assistant and they are good, take care of them. Pay them well, take care of them, because the amount of energy that it takes to make somebody who you need them to be is a lot, And so, yeah, she gets a raise like every month. I'm like, here, just take it. Don't leave me, please.
Having been a private assistant for 3 top individual agents before going on my own, I feel like I can speak to it too, because they paid me really well, and I should have been a broker on my own much sooner than I was, but I just was really good at what I did. They trusted me emphatically. They never gave me any grief. They didn't micromanage me. They just let me do what I was really good at, and then things that I wasn't good at, like writing verbiage, they were like, we hired somebody for that. So you just let them do what they're good at. And I got to the point when I had a 3-month-old when I had to hire an assistant, because it was like I was working till 3 in the morning, but not up with the kid, up with my work. And that assistant's still with me 7 years later, and then I have the new one.
Sure. Yeah, you do 2 to 3 transactions a month. At that point, you should hire an assistant. I can tell you that I think the most transactions that you can do by yourself competently is 60 in a year. Once you get past that, I can, from personal experience, tell you that you're lucky not to get, you're not lucky not to get sued. I don't think I would have done anything to get sued, but I think I hit 100 transactions in the last year before I hired an assistant, and that was stupid. And so it is life-changing. I don't work on Fridays. I go golf in the morning. I'm happy to answer client calls, but my schedule is clear, and I should have let you do an introduction. I didn't. It's okay. You can't. My whole goal. I opened a brokerage. The whole goal is that our industry needs to be better. That we need to raise the bar. That we need to be substantially better at what we do. And I'm fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of people. Megan, I don't know why she's not up here, that are making the industry substantially better. She didn't even smile. But it's one of those pieces where the more help, the more support, the more people that you have around you, the better you can be. And it's really, really important to build that and make this industry better, to do better, because it's hard to do it by yourself.
Sorry, just one more thing. I think I am somebody that can do, since I was an assistant, I can do all that assistant stuff. I'm getting a little bit rusty now, but it's nice. I think our clients really appreciate that we have people too that they can call. I don't care if they have my assistant's cell phone number, or they call her instead of me or whatnot, but the other day I was taking a luxury listing, and I had 2 assistants there, plus my stager, plus my handyman. I mean, they felt wildly supported, and I was literally checking emails, and looking at the pretty stuff and doing social media stuff.
I hired an assistant after my 4th transaction. And here's my theory. I'm doing a disservice to my clients by thinking I can wear all 13 hats well. I'm good at a few of those 13, and most of those few are high dollar producing activities. So if I hire an assistant, they can do something, they can do all the other stuff, allowing me to fill up my schedule with high producing activities, and which allows me to make more money and afford that assistant, and then a second assistant, and then a third assistant, and so forth and so on. And now I have a massive payroll with health benefits. But that's where it starts, is realize that if you think you can do everything well, there's some kind of pride or ego that you need to let go of, because really you're doing a disservice to your clients by letting someone who's amazingly organized help. It's going to allow you to serve that client better. And so I'm like Brett. He said it, not me. I'm disorganized. I don't really know what's happening most times of the day, but I have people that help me stay on top of things, and I'm good at a few things, and I try to stay focused on those few things. And the more you sell, the more you can afford to provide better service to your clients by hiring amazing other people.
Okay, Justin Acker, you're next.
Hey, first off, thanks guys. Thanks to each and every one of you for sharing all your knowledge today. We've learned a lot, and so a ton of golden nuggets are coming out of this session, so thank you to you guys. As a leader of a group of 10 realtors, my question for those of you that also lead out teams, what are some of the best ways that you give back to your agents?
You just made your whole team so happy.
Consistent knowledge within what's happening within the market. If you're the team lead, it's your job to be an expert for every single person who works with you and make sure that they have full understanding of whatever it needs to be, of the stats, of the latest trends, of the latest loans, of the latest whatever it might be. It's my goal to always be the source of information, support, and then, throw in events. Get them drunk, unless they don't drink. But, having stuff that you can build those relationships. Providing the business it depends on what your model is, but being the expert doesn't matter about your model, and that's one of the most important things that I try to do.
I look at it from a standpoint of, we have a 32-person team at the moment, and I don't have 32 people working for me. I work for 32 people. And so I look at my role, and this is more based on like what I'm good at. I look at my role as to motivate and inspire them to build the lives that they want to build. And so I'm finding out what they want, and then I'm strategically trying to figure out how to help them build that. Because if I can give them, again, what they want, I'll ultimately get what I want. And so that's kind of the basis of that. But practically speaking, I lead our team meeting every week. I lead a leadership meeting every week, leadership development. I do a mastermind that's with our team, but with any agent that wants to attend it. But I'm always preparing content and training, and I'm basically digging down, what have I learned in the last 5.5 years of real estate? What have I learned in the last 20 years of leadership? And how can that help them? How can I drop that on them to help them grow their businesses? So I'm trying to find specific times and to insert that, because at the end of the day, I think our growth in our businesses is our ability to become and develop more leaders. Because if we can become a better leader, we can develop more leaders. And if we have more leaders, then we can be better leaders of ourselves and of our clients and of our systems and of our assistants and all the things. So I'm constantly trying to figure out, how do I become a better leader so I can help them become better leaders?
Oh, we have another one.
I can project. It's for Jessica. Can you tell us how the bridge loan will help our clients?
Yeah, of course. So what happens right now, or what's been happening over the last couple of years, is the person that wants to move isn't seeing anything online that they want to buy, but they want to move. They're not even contacting these guys a lot of times because they're just like, I'd love to move, but there's nothing on the market. But then guess what happens? That perfect house pops up, and they want to buy it. And there's multiple offers already, and they need to find a solution quickly to be able to buy it. And they know, and these guys are telling them, unfortunately, a contingency will not work for you. So our team will pre-approve that client to buy that home non-contingent. The bridge loan helps access that consumer's equity so they can put that down on their new home. A question I get commonly is, why shouldn't they just open a HELOC? Well, a HELOC is intended to be taken out against a house that's your primary home. So if you find a house that you want to buy and you know you're not going to live in the house that you're going to sell ultimately to own the new house, if you apply for a HELOC, it's borderline loan fraud that you're telling the bank, this is my primary home and I'd like to take a HELOC against it, because it's not intended to be your primary home. You're actually looking at buying a different primary. So a bridge loan provides a really nice solution to the client that would like to use a portion of their equity as a short-term solution to buy their new home and then turn around and sell their old home. So we can write an offer and close within a 10-day period with a bridge loan. So we can do it really, really fast. The people that it doesn't work well for are the people that have purchased their current home in the last 3 years. Those people, unfortunately, it doesn't normally work well for. Anyone that's owned their home longer than that, we can do up to a $250,000 bridge, and we don't need an appraisal on their house, which is why we can close so quickly. Yeah, we cap them at 80%. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
How does that work?
Yep. So the way that it works is when we're writing an offer on a house and Jordan says, in order to get this house, you're going to have to go up to $725, and the house is listed at $650. And, oh, by the way, there's already 3 offers with an appraisal gap. We show our client that you can either pay the difference or you can close the loan with a higher loan to value. You don't have to pay the difference. And there's different ways we solve to it. So we can do appraisal gap coverage on jumbo loans. We can do appraisal gap coverage on conforming loans. We do a lot of first and second mortgages for people that want to buy in the jumbo price point, but they don't quite have the 20% down jumbo. So we solve to appraisal gaps a lot of different ways, but what I was saying earlier is the way I hear it commonly communicated to a client that's already in a fear state. Our buyers are in a fear state right now. And so we need to be selective in our adjectives and way we describe things. How I describe an appraisal gap every single time. An appraisal gap is a contractual promise to not renegotiate the price of the home after you get your appraisal. And what I would recommend to you guys is talk to your lender about if you offer an appraisal gap, how that impacts you. Because if you're telling the client you pay the difference in cash, you might be having buyer fatigue happen with that client faster than it needs to because they don't fully understand. So I would say put it on a really good lender that knows what they're doing and can help them solve to that appraisal gap.
Or just hire Jessica's team.
There was another, oh, you had a question.
Follow up a little bit. I was talking more along the lines of the income to debt ratio instead of LTV on that bridge.
On the bridge? Oh, debt to income?
Yeah.
50.
There. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I very rarely don't qualify people either. So they do have to qualify with both houses to buy non-contingent. But we get really creative. We figure it out, don't we, Brooke? We figure it out every time.
Thank you very much for all of this. A lot of great info. And as a newbie agent, second year ongoing, and I would just like to ask, what's the number rule that you would like new agents to set as a number one rule for set a good foundation?
I want to repeat the question. What's the number one rule you would advise of a new agent?
Correct, to set a good foundation.
To set a good foundation.
Well, first of all, you made it to year number 2, so congratulations, because you're now in rare company, seriously. And I think we're going to see less and less agents over the next few years. So those of us that make it are going to take a bigger and bigger market share. So congratulations on that. For me, it's meet as many people as possible, go wide, and then go deep with them and create true, meaningful human relationships and add value. I mean, surprise, surprise. But that's where I come from. And if you talk to agents that have lasted year after year, after market, you'll usually find, even if they do lead gen online or they buy Zillow ads, you'll usually find that repeat and referral is the majority of their business. So focus on adding as much value as possible.
For me, building relationships within the real estate community, I'm probably better at that than I am. I'm good with my clients, but a lot of people refer me business from our Colorado Springs office, our Boulder office, or within our Sotheby's network as well. But I'm just surprised how, sometimes we're going to, like if I write an offer on one of your listings, you're going to know me and you're going to know how I work, and hopefully I could win that offer. So putting yourself out there with other agents that you look up to or that you want to learn from. A lot of people have big crumbs of business laying around on their floors that they don't even know about because they're just too busy focusing on the business at hand. There's a lot of referral business and tips and tricks you can get from other brokers, I think.
I think coming into this industry is so hard because we all came from a 9-to-5 job, or the majority of us have come from a 9-to-5 job. So set a consistent schedule and find something that you can do consistently. And that is for a first year, that's for the 15th year, that's for someone who's looking to grow their business. Find something that you can do with consistency, and it doesn't need to be spend money. And I think we sometimes get confused in real estate that we always have to spend money. You don't. There's a lot of different opportunities and ways to find success, but consistently take classes. Consistently have yourself set on a schedule. If working out's your thing, consistently work out. Make sure that you're setting an alarm every day, or at least most days of the week. But set yourself up like this is a job, because it is so hard. And I think for all of us, I mean, you have these great 3 months and everything's going well. And I know I've said this to some of the people at our company, but you have these great 3 months. Everything seems to be going well. You get a few clients and, oh my God, I've got this. And then something doesn't work. And then one of them doesn't qualify and somebody goes with somebody else. And suddenly you're like, I hate everything. And for the next month you can't stay consistent. You lose it. And it takes 3 months typically of consistency to be able to build up something, to be able to build up momentum. That's not always the case, but there's that piece. So if you can stay consistent even through your failures, that's how you become successful in real estate. And especially as we go through a shift and the market adjusts, make sure that you control what you can control. Be consistent.
I'll pass it back. I would just say be a learner. I would say one of the things that I think was really instrumental is I found a way to kind of network with some really, really smart people, and they were really generous. And I was able to just kind of be in their ear and ask questions. And the reality is that some of the most successful people in this market would share anything with you. Because the reason they got there is because someone shared it with them. And so, I mean, all of our emails are here. Snap a picture. I think I speak for myself, but I know for all of us, if there's something that we can ever do to help, if we've learned something in that arena, then we can share it. But be a learner. Like, surround yourself with people that can answer the questions that you have and can kind of point you in the right way. I think you become like the people you serve. So if you can somehow make their life a little better, they're gonna take you with them. And that's my thought.
Okay, mine is don't be afraid. Things are gonna change. The market's gonna change, and you're gonna get scared. And you need to make sure that you realize that this is a place of abundance. There is enough business for everybody. Like Kylie said, another thing, other realtors are not your enemy, they're your ally, okay? There are a lot of people in this room that can't serve this or can't do that and don't go to this neighborhood or whatever. These people in here are your friends, not your foes. And then don't be afraid. Things are gonna change, expect that, and kind of pivot. And then also, I think I'm stealing everybody else's ideas, I'm just like embellishing a little bit. The other thing is, when you get busy, don't forget to lead gen. When you are closing deals, that's at that moment, what's happening next month, right? Look a month ahead or 2 months ahead. And if you don't have, if you're not getting a buyer under contract this weekend, next month, you're not gonna have a closing. So Kylie and we do this thing, we try to sell a house a week. That's the goal. Sell a house a week.
Well, yeah, to put something under contract.
Put something under contract every week. And if you can set a goal, then you're not going to be hungry. You're not going to be scared.
And then you don't get commission breath, because my clients know I don't care if they buy that house, because I have plenty of business, and I feel like they trust me more because I really don't need anybody to buy the wrong house. Yeah.
Don't be desperate.
First of all, thank you guys so much for what you give back to the real estate community. I truly appreciate it. Secondly, I feel like we're in the same market we were in 2013, where we had to get out of our own way, right? Where things were appreciating so fast, and as realtors, we're like, oh my gosh, we can't believe that they're actually selling for this much. And so we had to tell ourselves to get out of our own way. And I feel that's the way we are with interest rates right now. And I was wondering how, I feel like the negativity from interest rates comes more from the real estate community than it does from our consumers. So how are you changing the dialogue with your clients?
Our clients look to us for leadership, and they look to us for reactions. And when we express that we are at historically low interest rates, they can usually feel that and understand that. You know, I'm buying a house that's not going to close for another 14 months. God knows if I'm going to be able to qualify for it in 14 months. Price is going to go up and everything. But who cares? Like, over the long term, you know, we've got to have the bigger picture. And it's important to share with our clients that bigger picture. And, you know, as realtors, we see so many other realtors' Facebook posts, and we see all of this content, and we just assume that we need to speak to that content. But a lot of times our consumers don't see that, and we really are the only voice about real estate for them. We're the face of real estate. And if you've done a great job with them, you are the only one they really trust. So mindset is everything, and I think being honest is great. You know, when it comes to pricing or interest rates, I express to my clients, the longer I've been in business, the less I know about what's going to happen. And I think clients really appreciate that. And if you ask an expert in almost any field to look into the future, they'll usually tell you something similar, because that's just the truth of somebody who's been humbled by experience. And I think our clients appreciate that. So just be positive. We'll see what these guys have to say.
I've been telling people, so I bought my first house in 2004, and we had a 5.625 ARM, and my grandparents, I remember them thinking that we were like getting swindled. It was too low. That couldn't be possible that it was 5.625. So I try to tell my younger clients that, especially, was what we bought our house with, and it was an ARM. It wasn't even fixed, you know, and now we own several properties. So I think really humanizing it is helpful. I also find that my clients that were looking last year, they're the ones that are really struggling. The ones that started this year, this is what they know, and they're doing okay with it. It's just the people that have regret for not doing something last year when prices were lower, but we thought they were high, and, you know, rates were lower.
Monthly payment matters. It's the only thing that matters. Your interest rate can go up, your interest rate can go down, whatever you're going to afford, your taxes, your HOA, the monthly payment is the thing that's going to matter. So let's lock in on what your monthly payment is, and let's make sure that that's where you're going to be. Buying and selling a house has never been a bad idea. If we look back for the last 35 years, there's been 4 years that our market has decreased in value. Only one of those years was double digits. If we take back the last 35 years, our market on average, and if we're taking 35 years, that means that we're looking at interest rates in the 10 and 12%. We're averaging 6% appreciation a year. That our national average is 3.8, Colorado is 6%. Buying a house is never a bad idea. Making sure that you're doing it in a way that makes sense to you, that we're being transparent about it. Interest rates go up. Boo fucking who? It's gonna happen. Yeah, like it's gonna happen. They're gonna go down, they're gonna go up, it's gonna happen. Let's focus on making sure that your life is gonna be sustainable and that you're in the best position. If you can't buy that $700,000 house, that's okay. Let's find you a $550,000 house that makes sense for you, that we're gonna use as a platform to get you into the next house, because at the end of the day, even if the market slows down, when we say that we're hitting an affordability plateau, and we had a conversation on Mastermind about this yesterday, a plateau isn't in Colorado a straight line. We don't go to 0, we go to 6%. You're still walking uphill on that treadmill. We're still going to be appreciating. So let's find you a spot that you can be in for the next 2, 3, 4 years, and let's really game plan together how that's going to improve your life. But at the end of the day, shit happens. It is what it is. And if interest rates go up, that doesn't mean that our plan goes away. Our plan still remains. We just need to make sure that we're adjusting it so that it fixes and fits your real life.
Right, share the success stories that we do have, because sometimes I have to remind myself of my own success stories because it's hard out there, you know. But I had a couple like really cool wins for first-time home buyers this year, and when I meet a new first-time home buyer, I'm sharing that with them, and it emboldens me too to remember that it will happen, it will come together, and when it does, it's like just the round peg in a round hole. It's like, oh, it's amazing when it comes together. But they need to know that there's hope, I think.
The other thing, Nikki, is when interest rates go up, like you can look historically and at opportunities that consumers have had over the last 30 years to refinance. And so I think that, that's typically an option that we've watched happen consistently. So I agree with Brett, you need to stay within your comfortability. You need to make sure you can afford your house. But what has happened consistently for consumers is if they do have a higher rate than they were expecting or wanting, they should theoretically have an opportunity to refinance, Well, I want to thank our panelists and thank you all for sharing your wisdom with us today. I learned a ton. Did you guys learn a lot?